Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday, only two games, so very easy for us to pick right games there, and results were pretty good. We had Vancouver at Winnipeg under 5.5 goals. Winnipeg was this time only team, and maybe that tells a little bit about Vancouver because Winnipeg hasn't played so well recently. They won 5-0 and clearly under 5.5 goals. Good total bet there. Then Boston in Washington, pre-playoff game between these teams. Boston rested quite a few of their top players, but still it was a tight game. Washington scored the winner 2 seconds or 1.5 seconds before end of the game, and they won the game 2-1. Tommy, it's good to be back on green.
Yeah, nice picks there. Washington apparently is using Tom Wilson factor as some sort of a weapon here. So Boston rested most of their guys as a precaution, which is understandable at this point. They're going to face Washington in the playoffs. So preparation for that. A little bit of luck maybe for us because Washington was not that good. They did play okay game, as did Boston, with these guys that remained in the lineup, mostly second to fourth liners there. So 2-1 win. It was deserved, so Capitals were a little bit more active. So a nice pick with nice value there in Washington. And the same, the other game, Winnipeg finally got the win. I think I heard the sigh of relief in Finland after this win, because now it was the top guys of that team that took the team in their backpack and carried them to win. Scheifele, Wheeler, Connor, the first line, finally showed up and scored the necessary goals to beat Vancouver Canucks. So it was a good win for them, a nice under. Shout out for Connor Hellebuck there. So all these things that have been missing from Jets in the past, I think 10 games, now they got it. They got a solid defense, great performance by the goaltender, and their big guns showed up. So this is a good way to start heading to the playoffs, which looked a little bit shady for the Winnipeg Jets, but now they look a little bit better. Let's hope that they can keep this up and make a series out of it when they face Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs.
Yeah, Winnipeg really looked a bit different team than what they have been during the last 10 games or so. Do you think Edmonton is preparing enough for the Winnipeg, or do they think that we just release our offense and it would be easy series?
I don't think it's going to be an easy series. It's a very difficult team to play against. I mean, Winnipeg Jets, when they get to play this sort of defensive hockey that they're now getting better at. Of course, if you compare to last season or the seasons before, Winnipeg was really heavy on the offense, a little bit maybe shaky at the defense part. Connor Hellebuck saved a lot of impossible games for this team, but now they have turned into a little bit more balanced team. So they do have a chance to stop the Oilers' big guns. And it's interesting to see now Oilers have 2 more games to play in the regular season. Are they going to try and spread their sort of offensive power a little bit more, or are they going to put all the eggs in the same basket and just try to basically outscore their opponents? Because that has not worked really well in the playoffs, as we know. So it will be an interesting series. I do think that Jets have a small chance to stop these big guns of Edmonton Oilers, but let's see how that goes.
Tonight there is 5 games, and let's go through our picks. Like we discussed a few times, it's not the easiest task to pick these games when teams don't have too much to play for, and some are resting their top guys before the playoffs. But Edmonton plays second game in Montreal, under 5.5 goals, very high odds, plus 120. And Montreal hasn't been able to score too many goals recently. And if Edmonton cannot do what they can do in the best form, this, at least based on the simulation, should go under. 5.5 goals. The other game, Minnesota in St. Louis. Minnesota still have theoretical chances for second spot to overtake Colorado, but it requires some help from the Colorado side, so not winning any games, and Minnesota winning 2 that they have remaining. Home team has prepared for the playoffs now for a few games, and they have equally good chances to beat Minnesota, so very even game expected here. 100 and plus 119 odds, very good for St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, that's going to be another preparation for the playoffs type of match. So very close fought game, 2 very physical teams, 2 very aggressive teams. It's going to be this old school kind of a Western Conference type of playoff match already. So interesting to see how it goes. And I think St. Louis Blues they've been a little bit down as of late. So I think they try to get back to their way of playing hockey and way of winning games. They do have a great chance to win. Minnesota don't really have a lot to play for. It is true they do have outsider chance to take the second spot ahead of Colorado, but it would mean Colorado losing their game. So I think Minnesota are not going to too much look into that. They try to play their own game. Of course, it features winning always, but still, it's not that big a deal if they can't capture the points. I think St. Louis is more eager to get the points from this game. In the simulations, we do have St. Louis as about 50% favorites. They are actually underdog. 49.1 is the exact percent. But with these odds plus 119, was it a very good value for the home team in this game that is pretty much of a coin flip and can't really predict which way it's going to go. Minnesota has a tendency to take the things in the overtime. They did so against Anaheim. So if they do the same against St. Louis, that's already a victory for them. But St. Louis a little bit better pick this time. And the under in Montreal, it's interesting that these odds were so good for this. Montreal going to the playoffs against Toronto, very offensive team. What Montreal needs to do now is prepare to that encounter and play defense, and what better tryout for this playoff series than facing Edmonton Oilers and their big guns. Like we mentioned already, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, they might put these all players in the different lines to roll with three more evenly balanced lines than one top line, but we'll see how they do. Still, Montreal needs to stop them and play defense, so I think they're gonna not. Montreal is not going to score a lot of goals. They look for outs to hit back, to play counter offense, and try to get the Edmonton Oilers to frustrate and also to lose some pucks in critical zones. So I think this is going to be a very low scoring game, even if Edmonton Oilers have the power and the prowess to score a lot of goals. At the end of the season, this is going to be again more like a playoff contest than this sort of a free-flowing hockey game. In the simulation, 60% going under 5.5 goals, so great value there in Montreal.
Remaining 3 games have quite clear favorites. Colorado hosts Kings in Denver. Based on simulations, they have over 80% win probability. Then Toronto goes to Ottawa. They have over 70% win probability. And Vegas goes to San Jose. Like we've discussed, simulations don't like Vegas so much, but still they are clear favorites here on the road. Do you think these favorites will take 3 easy victories?
I think they do. I think not that there is any easy games there, but I do think that now there is a little bit of motivation for Colorado to secure that they're going to be the second or even challenge Vegas if Vegas miss out on in San Jose. But the similar way, if Vegas now beats San Jose, they will win the division for sure. So I do think there is enough motivation now for these games for the better teams to continue winning. And the same thing, Toronto has already clearly taken the North, but playing against their neighboring Ottawa Senators, I do think that Toronto will try and score some goals and get their offense going as well, heading to the playoffs. So now it starts to be more of a preparation for these real games starting, as there is not a lot to play for in the Northern Division.
Yeah, and I think Vegas have one extra perk here. If they win tonight, their last regular season game, they will take President's Trophy as a regular season winner. So that's something that they are playing for as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Vegas has taken that trophy before. It might be the first, so it's some motivation at least to gather some trophies to their not so full trophy cabinet yet.
Exactly. And tomorrow we'll start to go through the playoffs. Those playoffs start already in Saturday, even though there are some games remaining in West. East start the playoffs with the Boston-Washington series, and we'll have both playoff series probabilities as well as then Stanley Cup win probabilities. There are already odds available for the Stanley Cup win because all these playoffs teams have been secured their slots for the playoffs, but we'll go through how our simulations will predict and what kind of value when we compare odds and probabilities there will be for the Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah, the only division still in question is this Western one with the Colorado, Vegas settling their dispute on top, and also if Minnesota manages to beat Colorado for the second spot. But otherwise, we're set. So let's see how the simulations see the playoffs going.
Very good. We'll check these games tonight and continue with the bigger picture tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.